Good morning, how are you? Oh, just kicked the bucket, literally. It is Tuesday morning. It's the 23rd of August. I've got my long trousers on today and I'm taking the opportunity of walking around my garden barefoot, just enjoying the grass, which has come back green. Now, if you watch regularly, you'll know that we were on holiday last week. So there was no addition of flowers from my garden. We talked instead about the vases that were in the holiday house that we'd rented. So if you haven't watched that video already, hop back to the previous one and you should be able to catch up. So we've been having really beautifully hot weather recently and our garden was absolutely parched. The lawn was like dried straw. And then, although we've had no rain or experienced no rain when we're on holiday or when we've been at home, it must have been raining, presumably overnight or while we're away, because the lawn has sprung back to life. And the other thing I've noticed as well, because we haven't been in the garden for a little while, and because I didn't cut anything last week for the live video with you on a Tuesday morning, I've got quite a lot, relatively speaking, of dahlias and zinnias in the garden. So for the first time probably since I started filming this breakfast series over the summer of challenging myself about what vase arrangements I could make for my garden, I'm actually going to be able to have quite a quantity for me of flowers. So I'm going to cut the flowers, and if you are watching, just let me know whether you can hear me okay. I am turned on as far as I know, but until I get a comment saying you can hear me or not, I never really quite know. So normally I cut my flowers and put them into my cleaned out plastic milk bottle, which I've cut out to have a slightly bigger hole in. I thought, actually, today I think I'm going to have too many flowers to put into that little carrying receptacle. So I've taken the champagne bucket, which I've previously used in morning videos, and some of the flowers I've saved, and if you watched yesterday's video you'll see what I did with them. They're on their last legs, so I just had a go at practicing my pin holder skills. So the champagne bucket's been cleaned out, left upended in the garden to dry out, so I'm using that to collect my flowers in. And I don't know whether you can see already, but I have started cutting some flowers, and in fact I thought these look rather lovely. I could just casually leave them on my patio table just like that, but I've cut the ones which are on the other side of the bush, so you won't be able to see me doing that. So they're mainly the yellow dahlias, and I don't know whether you can tell from your angle, but certainly you're positioned about where one of our easy chairs is in the living room. We get a view through the patio door out onto the garden with this view. And I particularly enjoyed, since we come back from holiday, seeing the zinnias, because they're actually starting to sort of sweep out onto the lawn. And these ones here are probably at least half a metre into the lawn, and they're going to be quite vulnerable from the dog or us walking around the garden. I was going to say vulnerable from the lawnmower, but because the grass hasn't been growing because it's so dry, I don't think the lawnmower is going to be out anytime soon. But these are the flowers that I tend to cut first, the ones which are going to be vulnerable to being destroyed. So let's get down here. I'm trying to cut the stems as long as I can, but without taking any of the other side shoots. Otherwise, I'm sort of, stopping those shoots turning into the fully fledged flowers. But I'm sure there will be plenty long enough to create a nice vase arrangement. As I say, it is quite nice being able to do, my version of being a mini little flower farmer. And that's what I particularly like. As if you've been watching for a while, our garden doesn't have many flowers in it. So hopefully, throughout the course of this mini series on cutting from your garden, it might inspire you to either plant more flowers Oh, I can see a comment. It disappeared before I could get there. I'm guessing it might have been you, Jane. Hello, Jane. My husband has fallen in love with zinnias. I was given some zinnia seedlings by a friend. Would have been before lockdown, so it'll be 3 years ago. And my husband, who was the gardener, wasn't, was a bit reluctant to plant them, but he planted them out and they were quite successful. But this year, at my request, he did plant them, and I think he is sufficiently impressed about the colour and the fact that they have bloomed and blossomed, filled out the bed quite a lot, that I think he's going to look at growing them and then putting them into our main beds as sort of bedding plants. So this is looking rather spectacular, and this is only my bucket. It's not even the arranged flowers. So a couple more stems. I'm not going to pick any greenery, number one, because I don't really have any that's suitable. And number two, I want the flowers to speak for themselves. Now I have got some pinky dahlias here. I'm going to go right down there. And I've got, I'm never quite, I think that's coming into flower. I'm never quite sure of the dahlias when they're tiny in bud, or whether it's the seed head developing when they've gone over. So I think I've got that one in bud, and I've cut it with its budding partner, because the dahlias seem to be always on quite short stems, which I find a bit annoying. So I'm trying to not overpick, because we don't have loads of flowers. So I'm trying to pick whilst retaining a sense of the flowers are still sort of doing their useful thing in the garden. What I will show you is the difference between the dahlia in bud and the dahlia that's gone over, because I've just reminded myself they do look different. So isn't that a lovely haul? Shall I just finish the video there? Because the flowers all look quite nice and quite casually arranged. I can't leave the video there because I've just cut and put the flowers direct into the water. I haven't stripped off any of their leaves. But if you wanted to see the sort of life cycle of a dahlia. Joan, you're saying that you love the zinnias too, and I missed your question about growing them, so I'll have to come back later. But if you're, I'm not a gardener, but they seem to be quite easy. I can say that, can't I? 'Cause I didn't have to take any responsibility, but just bought the seeds. I think my husband, oh yes, I think probably, Joan, you could grow them in pots, again, because that's how my husband starts them off. He puts the seeds into old window boxes, so long troughs, and then he grows them on until they're sufficiently big to plant out. So I would say these would look lovely, wouldn't they, in pots, I would think. Now we have got, although we haven't got zinnias in pots, we do have these dahlias growing in pots, and they seem to be doing okay. And I guess if you're growing in a pot, here's me giving the gardening advice, I'm not qualified to do it. You just need to make sure that there's adequate drainage, not getting waterlogged, that you are watering them, particularly in the hot weather, and that if you need any nutrients, you're putting nutrients in there. So let's have a look at these dahlias. So this is the Dahlia Bud. It's about to develop, and when I look at it, I can just see the sort of dots of the inside the flower. So that is the fully fledged flower. And then when they go over, the bud bit changes shape. So whereas the bud bit here is more rounded, they become slightly more elongated, and that's the way that I reminded myself of the ones that are going to come in the flower and ones that have gone over. So if you're deadheading your dahlias, you need to be looking for the elongated apparent buds, because those are the ones that have gone over. So for today's vase arrangement, I'm going to be using a hurricane vase. Now I don't know whether, I know that Joan, you follow me on Instagram, but if you're not already following me on Instagram, I did post a picture of a massive hurricane vase I saw in a local charity shop. And when you're looking, good morning, Linda, lovely to see you, Linda, and so pleased to have you in the Facebook group, Linda. So again, if you haven't already joined the Facebook group, I will leave a link in the description box when the video is published. And for those of you who don't know how to get to the description box, quite often you hear YouTubers saying, click the link down below and buy X, Y, and Z. You can source your own floristry scissors, that kind of thing. Underneath you get the thumbnail, the picture of the video as you're playing, and then you get like a line of things that says like, comment, share. I think there's one that says give thanks, and it's like a money symbol if you wanted to pop £2 into my account. And then there's just like a down arrow, just a chevron arrow. If you click on that, it sort of brings up the description of the video, and that's where I put all the links. So if I'm talking about things that I bought on Amazon, you might want to have a look at. I'm an Amazon affiliate, so if you do make a purchase, I get a tiny percentage, 1 or 2p a time, I think, and it doesn't affect the price you pay, but just for transparency. And then you've got lots of clickable links. Sometimes put previous videos on there I think you might be interested, or the links to all my social media. So that's the way that you do it. So I did post on my Instagram stories about this beautiful hurricane vase, and it was huge. It was £10, which for me is quite a lot. It's, I start to shake a little bit when I get to the charity shop and something's £10. I like everything to be, £2.50 or less than £5. But it was, it was just the classic. It was tall, and it came in and it actually had like a proper footed area, sort of raised up on a little pedestal, and actually had an unlit church pillar candle inside, which probably was probably worth £5 in itself. Because you see things that you like, and just because you like them and just because you can afford them doesn't mean that you need or you have to have it. And that's something I'm still pondering making, is a short course on choosing your videos. So you're away, Joan, and yeah, I do find finding things on your phone is difficult, isn't it? So quite often I like to go back to my laptop, or perhaps if you've got a tablet to do that. But I would say with the phone, you can find the link. I don't know how you watch your videos, Joan, but when I watch them, I like to have them horizontal. But if you turn your phone round, so you've got it vertically in front of you, that little arrow and all those icons will come up. So perhaps that's what you need to do. If you think you want to look at the description, or the YouTube video you're watching talks about checking out what's in the description box below, if you turn your phone vertically, then the little that sort of band of options is there, and the click down arrow is literally, it's like a short V, just like that. So the question of the day is, I am actually going into town this morning. Do I just go into town and do what I was going to do, or do I go back to the charity shop and actually pay my money? The reason I was hesitant about getting the hurricane lamp, beautiful as it was because I already have a hurricane vase. They call it a hurricane lamp, don't they? Because it's you put the light or the candle in there, and because it's got the glass protection, it won't blow out in a hurricane. So I've already got a pair of these. So it's the same shape, but the one I saw in the charity shop had more of a sort of central column, and then the base sort of came out to about here. So it was more of a sort of pedestal design at the bottom. And I was thinking, I don't really need this. But wouldn't it be lovely, especially now I've got my patio table outside. Yes, I've got 2 of these perfectly good hurricane vases. But if I had a big one, I could have a big one in the middle and 2 smaller ones either side. I'm thinking of Christmas time. So yeah, let me know in the comments whether you think I ought to go back and try and buy it. So I have chosen the glass vase today, and probably I won't be keeping this out on the patio because I don't want it to get damaged or broken or knocked. So this will be an arrangement that in all likelihood I will bring indoors to enjoy it, where all the other arrangements I've done over the course of this little mini series, I have left them out on the patio table, and they look absolutely gorgeous. And talking about the patio table, when I was setting up to film earlier, I heard this sort of, and like a leaf falling, and in fact it was one of the blooms from our canna lily. So although today it almost feels like it's hinting rain a little bit, I thought, doesn't that look rather exotic? What if I should put it in this side where I got my hair tied back? So it was just lovely being here in the peace and quiet of the morning, that I could actually detect when something was dropping. I don't know whether my microphone will pick that up. Jane said I could buy it and I could sell it off. I think the links don't work while it's live. Yes. So, and hello, Sue, you're live as well. I will say that there aren't any links at the moment because when I film the video live, I haven't worked out how to sort of preload all the text that I put up normally. So what I tend to do when I finish the live recording is I then take a proper thumbnail picture of me, because the one this morning that's come up, I didn't realise the countdown was so fast. It's a picture of my hand trying to put my camera into my tripod. So once I finish filming the live video, I then take a thumbnail and I get on my banner details on that, and then that's when I copy across the text that I always use and I adapt it. So yes, you can't click the links when it's live because there aren't any links there. And I guess, I don't know, I can't speak for anyone else, if they are more proficient at doing these videos than I am, whether you can do that. But certainly when the normal videos, when I release them on a Monday afternoon, all those links should be clickable. Certainly when I see them, you know, the clickable links, they come up with the blue, don't they? Yeah. And Linda, you were admiring my teacup. Thank you so much for noticing. So this is another charity shop find, and I'm just trying to, I'm trying to live the high life. And I do watch another YouTuber, Lady Mary Beth, who's based in America. And she has this catchphrase that she wants to elevate the everyday, elevate your life by doing X, Y, and Z. And that I'm trying to keep that holiday sensation going. And what I've done over the summer holidays this year is I've changed what I eat for breakfast. I normally always eat cereal and or toast for breakfast, and I'm trying to change things up a bit because I think I eat too much cereal and toast. So I've been having Greek yogurt with fresh fruit on it, and you know, a little bit of honey and things like that. So I'm trying to keep the that sort of holiday vibe going. And you always feel so good on holiday, don't you? You seem to have so much energy and you want to do this, that and the other. And this is my one little way of trying to elevate my everyday. So a charity shop find, and there was 6 of these in the charity shop. Some of them weren't total pairs of cups to saucers, so I was careful to make sure I actually got a matched pair. They looked matched, and again, these are quite expensive for me. I think I paid £4.50 for this. I went back and bought another one, partly because I thought I might have a friend come around for a cup of tea sometime, but also because I don't want to put this in the dishwasher because I don't want the pattern to fade, and so I have to hand wash it. And I did notice very kindly my husband had hand washed it the other day, and I picked it this morning off the draining board, and his version of hand washing and mine weren't quite the same. You know, it's like when you have tea stains, they sort of hold on and you have to scrub a bit more. But I was grateful for the fact that he did think about me and didn't just leave it on the side. But this is a Danish maker, raw strand, I think it is. And I think it's probably a 1940s teacup and saucer. So it's a bit like the traditional blue willow pattern, apart from it isn't the willow pattern. I don't really like the willow pattern. I don't like the Asianness of it. I prefer my blue and white transferware to be more floral in design. And I think that is what I've managed to get there. And I really love the shape of the teacup and saucer. Makes it look a bit more interesting. And I am on the search for a red and white transferware set, thinking, you know, coming into autumn and Christmas time. And I did find a set of 3 when we were away on holiday outside an antique shop, and they were parcelled up. It was 3 cups and saucers for £2. And I was turning them over, shall I, shan't I? And I decided in the end that the teacup was just too ordinary. I quite like the fact this is slightly fluted and with an interesting handle, and the other one was just a sort of conventional shape. And I didn't really want 3 of them, and you know, I'm becoming discerning in my old age. That's quite nice. So shall we get on with the flower arrangement? I'm going to see whether I can do this. I might just, you know, so you can actually see what I'm doing, I might just move you over there, and I wonder whether if I shuffle to the other end of the table, that you will get a better view of what I'm doing. And actually, as I shuffle to the other end of the table, oops, just caught my trouser underneath the chair. Did you watch yesterday's video about the museum wax? And I know I've had a couple of questions about that. I'm not sure that I can put a link into the group about that if you're interested in that. So, and also when I finish the video, I will link back to that particular video so you can have a look. But I've been doing a little experiment to see whether museum wax is a good fix, a good anchor for pin holders. So I've had a little experiment outside, and I've got some pin holders sitting in water. And I thought, oh, wouldn't it be fun if I turned these up? They got water in them, and it showed you whether it worked okay. And I'm not going to be quite that brave, but perhaps I will tip them over. One of them, and I can't remember now, is the floral fix, the green floral fix. I'm getting agreement there about the willow pattern. That's what I like to see. So the thing to do is look out for the blue and white transfer wear, but just say no to the willow pattern. But the willow pattern is everywhere. So the first time I saw the blue and white transfer wear, I sort of snatched it up thinking, I'm never going to find what I want. And then, of course, once you see it, I think you've trained your eye a little bit and you're looking for it. So now I'm becoming slightly more discerning about what I buy. So this is, and I can't see, I think this is the floral fix. I can see a vague bit of green in here. So it's been sitting in water for probably 24 hours. So if I tip that away, oh gosh, it's held, because we know floral fix do that. It's like this waterproof tack. And the only thing was, when I was reading the book that I showed in yesterday's video, The Guide to Floral Mechanics, the lady who wrote the book said that she thought you would have to let the floral fix. That's the canna lily, Joan, in the background. That's the flower that fell off. So we've got a yellow one on the other side of the bench. So it does look really, really tropical. And we've had them in pots probably for 3 or 4 years. And my husband doesn't bring them in. They just sit on the pot. But we do have a south-facing patio, and we are in the southeast of England. So we probably, things are a little more hardy than if you live further north. So that was what fell off the plant this morning. So the museum wax, the advice was to set up your mechanics 12 hours ahead of time. And when I did mine in the video yesterday, I let my museum wax dry for the length of time it took me to make my little arrangement on the other pin holder. So it was probably only 15 minutes or so. So this is the one that is with the wax that's been sitting in water. And I just wanted to see how secure that was. So shall we have a go as we're amongst friends? So I'm going to tip it over, and if this falls over, I'm going to get splashed and the pin holder will land on the patio, and I'm moving my bare feet out of the way. So here goes. Oh, that was nerve-wracking. And that's held. So it's sort of the other end of the video, really. I wasn't sure about whether it's going to hold, but that has been successful. So yes, the question is, number one, do you anchor your pin holders, or do you think they've got enough weight that they don't need to be anchored? And have you ever thought about using museum wax? And as far as I can see, the preference of museum wax over the floral fix is it's reusable. So once you have, I'm not sure. Yes, I can take this off. So although it held firm, it's just like the floral fix, as I now step in that wet puddle and show you. So it's got that waxy residue there that I can scrape off, and I would need to get my palette knife to scrape off the residue there as well. And then I would put it back into the pot, screw top, and then it's left for another time. And I would say with the floral fix, do you ever save it? Is it savable? On the whole, you know what it's like when you've got a cupboard full of flower arranging things? Cleaning off the fix is what Suze finds more of a nuisance. So I would do the same thing here and do this twist and turn. So actually, just by luck rather than judgment, it's not attached to the bottom of the pin holder, but it is for me. Normally, I would say it's wedged solid on the back of the pin holder, not on the container, but on a ceramic plate, it has come off. And I guess if I was, you know, being cost and resource conscious, I would roll that back up into a sausage and then try and put it, you know, the floral fix comes with that sort of greaseproof paper backing to it to wrap it up. But my thought is that that's just going to go, look, it looks like a little a caper or a gherkin there, that it's just going to go hard and I won't be able to reuse it again. And then my other question was, do you know what it's made of? These sort of wax and putties. So this is described as you know, a microcrystalline wax. But when we think of wax candles and beeswax. But I don't suppose it, you know, it's a natural product in that sense. It's probably, you know, is it something that is also from the petrochemical industry and therefore plastic? So Joan's saying that she definitely anchors her pin holders there. And I would say that if you do, especially if you've got your pin holder in an open container, when you try and arrange your flowers on it, it may well slide across. So I would say that's why I would anchor it if you've got a wide mouth container, because you'll be chasing your pin holder around. Sometimes I might drop my pin holder into a more enclosed space, especially if I've only got a small quantity of flowers to arrange. And sometimes I don't always weight it down, but then I'll probably, if I was doing this, I'll get a bigger pin holder, which by definition would be weightier. But yes, the convention is that on the whole you do weight them down. So Joan's saying you don't use them at present, but you did use them in college. Now Joan, here's a challenge for you. I know you're really good at keeping your photographs. Do you fancy putting some photographs in the Facebook group to show us your pin holder arrangements, just so we can get a look at the style of arrangement you can create on a pin holder? Because as we're trying to move away from flower foam, it's also that mindset of moving away from those very full arrangements we associate with flower foam, because of course part of the reason they're full is you have to cover up your flower foam, and that's where you either put more greenery in or you put more flowers in. And when you've got a pin holder, it's a smaller area to arrange in, and therefore you're not having to put lots of extra greenery and flowers in to cover up your mechanics. So in this way, going foam free, once you've invested in your pin holder, might be a cost saving overall, because through the life of your pin holder you will need less flowers and foliage to arrange with. Let me know, it's all discussions today. So what I'm going to do with my flowers today in my bucket, I've just remembered that I've forgotten to bring my handy compost bin, but I might put actually my zinnias in first. So I chose quite a tall vase because I had imagined my zinnias in the garden were growing quite tall, but I've cut the lengths as long as I could, but I couldn't cut them, you know, right down to the ground and have therefore, you know, a nearly a metre high arrangement, because I wanted to make sure that I was leaving the buds that they would flower again. So Joan's taken up the challenge. When she gets back from our holiday, she's going to look at some photographs. So I'm going to cut these leaves off. Now normally I pull the leaves off for ease and speed. Again, I've been reading, as Joan said, it's all right having all these books, but it's a good idea sometimes to read them. All about the biology of flowers and the shock that you put the flower through by creating the wound. So I'm trying to just gently snip rather than to pull. And also when you do pull, though it's quicker, sometimes you do end up with that sort of heel that you've pulled off the main stem, and that does create a wound that attracts, you know, you're just vulnerable to bacteria. And then I recut because I just like the process of that. Sort of is what I do. I quite like doing the same thing over and over again. And one of the books I've been reading, and it's going to be one of the source books for our new Zoom flower classes, which start on Tuesday, the 27th of September. And we've had 2 bookings already. So the first email went out yesterday, 2 bookings already, which is good news. So yes, I was reading about conditioning. You know, you get those chapters at the beginning of the book, conditioning. You think, here we go again. But this one was actually talking about the biology of what the plants are doing, and the fact that when you cut the stem ends, it sends the hormones down to the ends to repair the wound, and that's why you have to recut the stems, because they start to seal up. And the way the water is taken up by the flower is its transpiration. So again, your gardeners out there will know that means losing the moisture through the petals, through the leaves, and that's why if you ever see roses, there used to be a fashion, certainly when I was at college, that when you arrange with your roses, you took all the leaves off to the top. And now the accepted protocol is that you leave some of the leaves on in order that they can do their job through photosynthesis. I'm getting a bit scientific here, I'm getting a bit out of my depth. I wish I could do my GCSE biology again, and I'd know for a fact. In fact, I know somebody who is doing GCSE biology. So I should perhaps see whether I can have a look at their textbooks. Although there aren't textbooks these days, it's all online. But I'll have to have a look at photosynthesis, and then helps you understand your conditioning and why you're doing it. And for me, I find that really helpful to, I can do what you tell me to do, but I like to visualise it and understand why I'm having to do it. And just sort of having that tiny bit of botanical biology knowledge just helps a little bit. So I think my vase is too short. But let's not point out the things that are going wrong. Let's embrace the moment. So I don't actually have that many glass vases. And the reason I've gone for glass, can you think of the reason I've gone for glass today and not any other kind of vase? It's got something to do with the colour of the flowers. So those of you who've been to me to class before, we quite often have a discussion about colour. And I always say that I like to avoid white with the vibrant jewel-like colours. I love white and green, I love white on its own, I love white and pastels. But I think as soon as you introduce, well, my personal preference is when you've got these jewel-like vibrant colours, it's sort of the tutti-frutti colours, or almost like the highlighter colours. Somebody said that when I on holiday last week. We were watching the wild swimmers go out and had their proper... Joan, you're wanting inside information. I will tell you, Joan, that it's somebody I've been following for a while. And I've never really... I've liked the style of this person, but I've never really had the chance to look at them in detail. And I'm absolutely certain. So I thought I'm going to check it out over my holidays, do a bit of holiday reading, and I thought actually I might buy the book. It sounds really like up my street, and I thought I won't order it straight away because it'll end up getting delivered when we're not home. So I put it in my basket so I wouldn't lose it. And when I, within a couple of days of coming home, I thought I'll press buy now. And the price of the book wasn't what I remembered it as. It was an expensive book. And I thought it was reduced to £30. And when I came to actually buy it, it was £60. And I'm thinking, what on earth? And had I made a mistake? I don't know. Had I just got it confused with something else? Taken that leaf off because it's sitting in the water? I wasn't quite sure. And I thought, actually, if I buy the book and share some of the projects with you, it'll be a cost saving because you won't need to buy the book. And then when I was there looking at the book, I was thinking, oh yes, I could do this, I could do that. And then I thought, actually, I've got a couple of other books that are sort of on the similar line. You know what I'm like, always buying these books. So I've dug out 4 books now, which are going to help me shortlist the arrangements that we're going to be doing. And actually, Joan, I know that over the course of the last few weeks, you've been sending me some inspiration photographs of projects you were interested in. And I quite like you sent me the photograph of I'm going to struggle saying this, Himalayan wreath, which I know there was a lot of interest in when I went to a workshop at the end of last year, so that may well be one of the projects. So I have shifted things around a bit. Some of the photographs you sent me, Joan, were very similar to projects we'd already done. There was one with like the sticks and the elevated design. I thought that was too similar to something we'd done before. And also a lovely windowsill vase arrangement, which I thought was probably quite similar to something we'd done before. So if you're interested in doing those in your own time, Joan, it's a matter of thinking about the flowers that are in season at the moment and changing up your look, but using the same technique. So the reason I am arranging these flowers in glass today was because most of my vases are white, and I didn't want the white with the vibrant colours. So I thought if I have them in glass, that's like the neutral. These almost look like dahlias, don't they? They aren't. I got dahlias the way. They're sort of like, oh no, peonies was the word I was going for. Quite fluffy. And I'm thinking now, perhaps I should have a vase of the zinnias and then a vase of the dahlias. I haven't got quite so many dahlias, and the dahlias are shorter than these. So I'm just doing a leisurely cut and plonk here. And I'm conscious of the fact that perhaps I need... So Jane, you're saying that you get some of your books from the library. Yes, I always have a look at the library, and I used to be able to rattle off that number. You know, when you're looking for library books, I can't remember what it is now, but they're normally like round by the craft books, aren't they? So yes, have a look there. And sometimes, I can remember once I did ask for a book to be ordered, and I spotted it on the shelf the next time, but they didn't actually tell me it arrived. So I think you can make suggestions as well. And in fact, there's a book that I quite like to suggest the library buys. The Scandi Christmas book that inspired me for the Christmas courses last year. A lady called, is it Christine Myers? She's got a new book out about her cosy cottage, and I'm I think with some of these books, they're nice to flick through, but once you flick through and read them, are they keepers? And it's that kind of book I'd rather get from the library. I think I am going to keep my dahlias in a separate vase because the stems are all really short. Unless I put loads of water in and have a really deep vase of water, and then I can just precariously balance them. So shall I just, for the point of faking it up, that can go in because it's got a longer stem. I'm half thinking that if I don't get them into a vase, they're not actually going to make it into a vase, they're just going to sit in my bucket. But if I make a pledge, I'm going to put more water into this vase, I can have these flowers as like elevated as sort of butterflies flying above the rest of my zinnias. So I don't have an awful lot of these. Look, we've got bindweed. I need to de-bindweed that without knocking the petals off. And that's got quite a long stem. So trying to put it in and not damaging the petals underneath. And that is a fine specimen of a dahlia with its bud on the side. So something. So I've got probably of the dahlias, I've only got two that are a decent length. And then, oh, I think that one must have gone over as well. So these are the two that have finished. I'm not quite sure whether you can see those. They look quite pretty still, but they have gone over, as we say. So that just needs a little bit more water, but creating a lovely high summer. So the weather is amazing. You can see I'm struggling to look at you. But when I got out here this morning, I thought there was a real nip in the air, and I thought it's absolutely going to rain. And now the sun has come around and it feels so warm. I'm seriously thinking of taking off my cardigan. So I'm going to say goodbye now. I shall leave you looking at those lovely photographs when I come around and turn the camera off. And if you're watching on replay later on today, you will be able to click all those clickable links. And I'll also put a copy of the playlist of the other videos in this little series if you're interested in seeing how my garden has been progressing, or what I've been able to harvest in my garden has been progressing throughout the summer months, and also the video from yesterday about that museum wax. So I must remember to A, add more water, B, throw my greenery away, C, try and save my piece of floral fix, and D, scrape off the last of the museum wax and put that back in the container for another time. So I shall say goodbye, and whatever you're doing today, I hope you have a great day and catch up with you next time. Bye Linda, bye Joan, thank you.